friends, we're back again for another video. You know, you can only add so much content, especially with this issue, the coronavirus. There's multitudes of information out there. Some of it's not legitimate, some of it's fake. So you gotta really do your due diligence to try to find the right platform to get the content that you want for your channel. So that's what I did today. Today is Saturday, Super Bowl weekend. So here's what I've come across so far. The news has changed and it's going to continue to change. I've spoken to many different people, doctors, friends, politicians, you name it. And I keep getting the same thing pretty much from everybody, is this is a very serious issue. It deserves to be monitored and watched, which they are doing. Preparing for whatever may come of all this, and I believe the United States is doing a great job. There are cases, there are subjects that have been contaminated. One in particular was in Chicago, I believe, a husband and wife, a wife that went to Wuhan and came back and got her husband infected. Terrible story. And there's other cases. There's over 100 cases that are being monitored and watched in US. So here's some information right here I came across. And once again, I wanted to have access to this content without writing everything down, because this is pages upon pages upon pages. So I came across a news media that checks out, and I'll read you some of the content. So here we go. Unprecedented restrictions are being placed on travel to and from China, which we already knew that, folks, reflecting the global growing alarm of the coronavirus outbreak as new cases and deaths. Meanwhile, risk as in plural not singular, mount to China's economy. We predicted that too as well, the stock market, which could bring major ripple effects around the world. Here's what we know. China said there are now 11,791 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in the country, plus 20 in Hong Kong, Macau, 10 the self-growing island of Taiwan, which is 259 people dead, 243, I'm sorry, it's 259 people that are dead, that have died from this disease. That's a rise more than 2,000 in the number of infected people and 46 in the death toll from the previous day, as Chinese hospitals struggle with shortages of medical equipment and beds. The virus has also reached 22 other countries. See, the last time I believe it was 17, now it's 22. And it's growing. So, you know, I read that Australia had developed the same virus. What they're going to do with that, I have no intel on that right yet. The United States has imposed an unprecedented restrictions on travel to and from China, advising its citizens not to travel there and barring foreigners from entering the U.S. if they have been in China during the previous 14 days. A growing number of countries are taking similar action, which, why wouldn't they? The risks to the Chinese economy are growing, with many businesses across the country, including all Apple stores, set to remain closed for at least another week, and consumers staying home and cutting spending. Tokyo borders are closing. Flights are being canceled as coronavirus rapidly takes root in China and spreads around the world, with nearly 12,000 people now diagnosed with the disease, 259 people dead. Officials figures released Saturday showed those numbers. In China, inside of China, businesses and the economy have grown to a halt as hundreds of millions of people hunkered down in their homes. Now, we talked about this. You know, all these businesses closed, no food, no water, and these people are running out of food and water. Can you imagine these people coming out of their homes, hungry, dehydrated? And we're talking millions of people here. The virus hit central province of Hubei is desperately short of medical supplies, and hospitals were overwhelmed with this outcome of patience. As concern and anger mounts, Chinese president is keeping a low profile. I bet he is. On Friday, the United States imposed unprecedented restrictions, which we already talked about. The State Department also told Americans not to travel to China. That's a no-brainer. Who would want to go anyway? You have to live under a rock not to know about this. Dozens of countries have followed suit, with Australia imposing similar restrictions on Saturday, which is today. Russia said that its armed forces would start evacuating citizens Saturday. Japan has imposed less stringent but nevertheless remarkable measures, barring any foreigners who had visited visited the virus-hit city of Wuhan in the past 2 weeks, and any Chinese person whose passport was issued by the Providence government of Hubei. Concerns were also mounting in Japan that the virus could disrupt the Summer Olympics. Really, guys? Is that what your concern is? Set to take place in Tokyo in July and August of this year. Well, see, they were thinking long term. They're building another hospital. They built it in 14 days. Well, they said it's 6 to 7 days. It took 14 days to build it for another 1,000 beds. Why would you spend millions, if not billions of dollars for all this, but yet you're worried about the Tokyo? You can't have an Olympics over there, period. You can't bring people over there with this virus. It's stupid. It's brain dead. I mean, and they're saying by July and August? What, 6 months, 5 months? Not possible. Okay. In Hong Kong, however, the government hasn't closed its border or halted transport links in mainland China, one of the only territories bordering China has not taken such a step. I wonder why. On Saturday, a pro-democracy union representing thousands of medical workers in Hong Kong voted overwhelmingly in favor of strike starting Monday, hoping to pressure the Hong Kong government into completely closing the border with mainland China. More than 3,100 members voted in favor of the strike and only 10 voted against. North Korean leader, in a rare move for a country that has generally been on the receiving end of foreign aid, on Saturday sent a consolation letter to the president to support its fight against the coronavirus outbreak as soon as possible. Okay. So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to put down below my description in my channel, my podcast. By the way, guys, I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe and ring the bell. It makes it possible for me to be here and make content for you guys to watch. I think it would be a good idea to put some form of equipment to have as a insurance policy for your family, your home, in case this does change. In case this virus does sweep the nation and become really bad news, and I pray to God it does not, and I believe in the U.S. Medical teams that we have in this fine country that we will somehow, some way contain this, but just in case, I believe everybody, myself included, my family, to have a full facial mask, not just a breathing right here, but for the full face, for the eyes, because the virus can enter your eyes. Your nose, your mouth. Plus, with the mask on, you won't be wanting to feel your fingers in your eyes and your mouth and your nose. It's contained. Gosh, guys, I was reading. It was around 10 o'clock this morning. By the time you guys see this, it'll be afternoon on Saturday afternoon. That the Chinese government knew about this way before December 23rd, 22nd, 21st, whatever. Before that, and I don't know what to think about that. People were not supposed to talk about it, and this got out. Thank goodness it did. I don't mean the virus. I mean the information about the virus got out. I believe this could have been contained a lot better if they would have shared information and jumped on top of it real quick, but they did not. Some people say they did, they didn't. So I'm going to put a link down below my channel, my podcast channel, where to get some masks. Simple stuff. Maybe some gloves, some masks, sanitizer, things like that for people that don't want to get out and get this stuff. Because I'm going to buy it. So I will do that. It may not be today, but by next week I'm going to have that link on there for you guys. So, let's see. The officials and Korea said Kim conveyed its sincere wishes to share the suffering in the trial of the fraternal Chinese people. That's nice, I guess. It had sent aid into China. The isolation country has also sealed its border with China as scores of virus cases have been confirmed in Providence along the Sino North Korean border. A growing list of airlines have already canceled flights to China, while the union representing flight attendants in the U.S. asked the Trump administration to halt all flights to China. Nearly 10,000 flights have been canceled since the start of this outbreak. Can you imagine the amount of money that they're losing? No flights, no transportation, no nothing. This has got to be, I read that they were somewhere in the millions a day, millions of dollars of income a day, if not billions. Can you imagine losing that every day for weeks, if not months? But as governments batten down the hatches, the virus continued to spread around the globe, with more than a dozen cases in each of Thailand, Singapore, Japan, South Korea, as well as everywhere in Finland to Australia. The United Kingdom confirmed 2 cases on Saturday. The spread around China, this thing is spreading so fast. This is 2 weeks. The spread around China is also a major concern, experts said. More than 150 cases in Shanghai, nearly 140 in Beijing. In a study published by the Lancet Medical Journal Friday, 3 experts from the University of Hong Kong warned that the epidemic may already be growing exponentially in multiple cities around China with a time lag behind the Wuhan outbreak of 1 to 2 weeks. Large cities overseas with close transport links to China could also become outbreak epicenters unless substantial public health interventions at both the population and personal levels are implemented immediately. The study warned emergency. Independent, self-sustaining outbreaks in major cities globally could become inevitable because of sustainable exportation of somatic cases in the absence of large-scale public health interventions. Why would they? I don't understand why they would. The Chinese government effectively closed down the entire province of Hubei on January the 23rd, but not before an estimated 5 million people had already left Wuhan. The streets of Beijing, typically quiet during the Lunar New Year holiday, would normally have returned to life by now. Instead, they remain largely deserted, with a few people taking public transport. Restaurants and stores closed, and reminders for returning workers to register for quarantine themselves at the entrance to every residential compound. All right, guys. Once again, make sure you like and subscribe to us, ring the bell. I appreciate that. I will more than likely be shooting a video about something else tomorrow. This is taking a toll on me, just constantly reading this information, researching this information. I need to shoot something more uplift, a change of pace. This stuff just affects me, affects my family, affects all of you guys, all my friends, all of you. And I want to change that pace a little bit. I want to shoot something different tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to be yet. A different topic. Just to take a break from this. This is like a virus. It gets inside your mind and it just spreads. and I need to take a break from this. So make sure you guys like and subscribe and ring the bell, please. And we will see you tomorrow. Okay? Stay tuned.